Hey, Jim here. How's everybody doing today? Monday, the 9th of October, and it's been chilly the past couple days. Went from a 90 degree, almost 90 degree week, and then boom, rain came through, cold front, and now it's fall like hoodie season almost. Well, I mean, I was in a hoodie this morning, but this afternoon it probably won't be that cold. It'll be in the 60s, I do believe. But tonight will be in the 30s, and tomorrow night also, as I wake up Wednesday morning, will be in the 30s. So I am going to do a quick bow review and tell you about this Mandarin Duck Black Hunter 60 pound left-handed takedown recurve bow that I got. Now you'll see that I've already done some modifications to it. I've got the little finger protector on there because of my Slavic draw style. This works really well, but I wouldn't suggest using thumb draw on a 60 pound. If you're going to drop down to a 40, that would probably work a lot better. This is a very stout bow. This is the type of bow that you want to take hunting. And in my, style of hunting with the Slavic draw, makes for faster follow-up shots on the varmints. Now, normally when we go hunting, deer hunting, stuff like that, we don't really necessarily go after varmints, but that's what happens because of the varmints. The varmints are chasing the deer out of the areas in which we're hunting, and we end up shooting the varmints, coyotes more specifically. And occasionally, you'll get a pack of coyotes mixed in with a couple of dogs that were raised in the wild. Not something you can rehabilitate, so we end up dispatching those as well. That's not something we want to do. It's something we have to do. And the weird part about it is the dogs are more vicious than the coyotes in that sense. I've seen that. I've seen it all my life. Packs of wild dogs running around and they will take humans. They'll go after humans quickly because they're not afraid of humans. Coyotes are more afraid of humans. And so if you get dogs raised in the wild like that, you'll need to put them down quickly because they will be the ones that will come up to humans more quickly than what coyotes will. Even though I've seen in certain videos on YouTube, you will see coyote hunts, and sometimes coyotes, if the hunter's too close to the lure, the coyotes will come up and attack if you don't hit them in a kill shot with a kill shot initially. Uh, Poor hunters do that. They're not very good at their sport or their art. And I've seen that. But I never comment saying, "Hey, you suck. You should been able to hit on the first round and drop it." But that's how it goes. Anyway, bow review. This is a 60 pound at 28 inches draw. It tells you all the information right here. Mandarin ducks got their little logo. 60 pounds at 28 inches. But I have arrows. These are 31s, and I'll drop it back sometimes a little too far. These are the mechanical broadheads that I tested out on the pumpkin and basketball. They all opened on those mediums. I had to, this is one of them I fired. I had to put new rubbery thingies here. I only used, I think, 2 arrows per, no, three on the blue ones, the cheap ones. Okay, so these are the $20 arrowheads that are mechanical broadheads that I got at Walmart, and I like them, but I like the blue ones better. The cheap ones I got, they open up differently. They open up all the way and they form a T, as to where these open up by being bumped right here, and they'll come out. This will break normally, um, and they'll form an A or a V. So I do like these. They're very robust, but the blue ones to me are, and they come in a pack of 12 for 16.99. Now it went up a little bit from the initial. I think it was 12.99 I seen earlier in the year. I think the prices are going up, and maybe it was last year I seen it at that price, because I've been considering doing the bow thing for a long time and making a channel on it, and I just did that earlier this year. So and I switched it from medieval archery to budget archery, because in this economy right now, you definitely need a cheap budget if you want to put food on the table after the food runs out, if you will. So if you're a survivor and you survive the initial onslaught of all this crap that's coming our way, you definitely want to know what bows at $100 is going to be efficient for you. This is a really a 60-inch, a really nice bow. You need at a 60-inch bow, you need a 56-inch string. So I'm gonna order a couple of different strings for this and have it on standby. And once this wears out, I'll be able to go ahead and change them out. I might go ahead and get another one just like this and put it back in reserve. Now, the one thing about it I noticed when I unpacked it is on the bolts here that fasten the limbs to the riser, they had rust on them, so it'd been in storage for a while. And I noticed that in that this coating on the outside of the limb right here has cracked right here at the base of this where it goes down into the limb. So this chunkier part right here, right at the very base where, let's see if I can get it in there. Right in here, this crease, that's a crack, to where I do believe, because it was sitting in storage for so long, because there was only so many of these at 60 pounds at left-handed, and I specified I want 60-pound left hand. Now, this is not the only bow I'm going to go with and do a review on. It also cracked right here on the bottom part. This is the bottom limb. So it's more or less over time may have dry rotted the coating on the outside, the lamination, the black stuff here. But it does not take away from the efficiency or accuracy of the bow. And I'm going to tell you, this is an accurate bow. I've shot probably right around 60 arrows off of this. I'm not disappointed at all with the accuracy. Okay, it is a more stout bow. You're going to wear yourself out a lot faster. If you had a 40 or 45-pound bow, you can still hunt with those. You can hunt with a 35-pound bow if you're very good with that bow and hit pinpoint on the kill zone, if you will, for whatever you're doing. Accuracy is everything, so you got to practice quite a bit. So this bow here feels nice in the hand, although it's a left-hand bow. Okay, so I should be grasping this with the right hand. Grasping it with the left hand, I have this ridge right here. So I might hone this down a little bit, or I just might keep it, because I'm not really a crybaby with this. But for anybody who wants comfort in their grip, you're not going to get it with this right here. This is not comfortable at all, but it's doable. And I'm pulling back. You know, sometimes I'll have arrows in this hand. If I know I'm going to be around and there's going to be either, we do have bobcats through here, but you're very most likely to only hear them. You won't see them. If you do see them, and you better start, getting ready, because they've probably already seen you. And you look just as tasty as a deer or a calf, or maybe even some goats. So you have to be really ready. If you're going to go hunting, you have to have everything ready for all the contingencies you're going to face. All right, so bottom line, this bow here, good, must have. Comes with, I think I have the other one up here somewhere. It comes with the furry stuff you can attach to this. I haven't taken the edges off to shape this on this stuff, and you have to make sure that you know which direction to put this. It's going to tell you that. All you got to do is rub your finger back and forth, and you're going to be able to see the direction that the arrow travels this way. So, but when you put it on, yes, it'll rough it up a little bit, but the arrow will go this way. So you have to put the fur going this way, the pattern of the fur, if you will, or fabric or whatever you got going on, and put that right there, and it works really good. Now there's a little bit of vibration in the string when you pull it back. You got a thump. It on the riser, in between the riser and the limb, you do have some felt material. That's fine, but I'm gonna get me some felt material real thin and put it in between. Even though there's a rubbery type substance there, I'm gonna go ahead and see if that quiet gives it a little bit more quiet release. And I'm gonna put some furry thingies on each end of the silencers on each end of the string, and I keep my string nice and gooey as it is with a wax, so it maintains it. I don't really put wax on the excuse me, serving string. I do a little bit towards the loop, but not on the loop. It's when you're trying to string this thing, it's a lot more stout to do that as opposed to a 40, 45, 50 pound bow, which I have two 45s, correction, three 45s, and have another takedown bow, which I'm having issues with the limbs because they're warped. But I'm fixing that, and I'll do a review on that later. But that one's not important. But this one here, boom. I mean, yeah, Mandarin duck. I've always heard good about them. Normally, people are using lighter bows in order to do the Slavic release or thumb release. A lighter bow on the thumb release would be better than a 60 pound, that's for sure. But as I said, this is a better hunting option, or when I go out and I dispatch coyotes, because they're coming into town. So on the outside of town, where I know a lot of people live, right on the outskirts, past the city limit, or with it, they're within the city limits, but they're also not in the city. So you have options to use other weapons to, because shooting guns right there through there is a statute violation, and you can get in trouble for that. So even they're a little iffy on BB guns, because some of the high powered PCP air rifles you can definitely use for dispatching coyote. I've done it. I have a Daisy 880, and I'm pretty accurate out to 40 yards with a good headshot. So once I clean their brain bucket out, that's it. They're not going anywhere. They just drop, or they take a few steps and drop, whichever the case may be. But I've only had to do that a couple times. Anyway, with these arrows and mechanical broadheads, and some of the more massive broadheads, the 300 grain, which I'll do a better review on those specific types of broadheads at a later date. Um, these bows become very, very valuable, and I mean, quiet. You're not giving away your position. Okay, so if you're out in the survival situation to where shit hits the fan and you are using a bow, they're not going to hear you with all the silencing done and everything, especially. All right, so but if you're out there shooting a gun, trying to get your food on the table, then you're going to be heard. All right, so bow review. This thing is awesome. I suggest you get one. Link will be in the description below, but you can choose your poundage on that if you want to. You don't necessarily have to have a left-hand bow. I'll put the link in there for one that does the right hand as well. There are other options out there also. They're a little cheaper, different brand names. And I don't know if these are mass produced and then just sold to the companies or brands on the limbs and the risers, and then they just put their logos on them. I really don't know if what the deal is with that. But there's a lot of them out there like this with different brand names called Black Hunters. They're red, green, blue, black. Some of them are natural flavor or flavored, colored, and they do really well. Okay, so as far as, they're basically the same thing, but with the Mandarin duck, I've seen a couple of different reviews on these on lighter bows, and they've done really well. And that's where I said, well, I'm gonna try them, because there's different black hunters out there, and then there's the Samick Sage, which I do plan on getting a Samick Sage. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get a right or left hand, but I will get a 60 pound, and we'll be looking at what type of options we have with that. So without getting into the weeds on everything else, this is where I'll tell you that this is where you're probably your best option for the budget. Okay, this is only $100 for this bow specifically. and you can put it to 60 pound. You can get it at a 40 pound. Right or left hand, they come in all different fashions. They're normally 60 inches long. There are other recurve lookalikes that are 62 and 64, I do believe. I've seen a few of those. And you really got to pay attention to what you want to do. So, like I said, if you're just target shooting, a lighter bow is great. 40 pounds, 35 pounds. You're really going to get into the sport. And then as you go, you can grow with your abilities and you can get a heavier bow for whatever options. Yes, compound bows can be very, very cheap. You're going to pay $200 for an entire set. You can get all the fixings and trimmings with a compound bow at about $200 to $250. $300 and less. But if you're looking at a smaller budget, these come at about $100. That's where I paid for it. $99.99. There's a little bit of tax on top of that, so less than $110 for sure. And then, but like I said, I put the link in the description. You'll see all the good stuff that you want to with this. They'll also suggest other products with this, like they have their own arrows, which I'm going to get me some Mandarin duck target arrows that are replaceable heads. And I may try a couple of those with broadheads and see how well they work out. I'm going to try and get some Simmons Sharks, great whites, and all that. They're different variations of the Simmons Sharks, and they're very wide, 2-inch wide broadheads, cutting. So that way they're big monsters. Really, they're about like the Advantage Point Archery 300 grain 3-bladed broadheads, but there's also other Advantage Point Archery. I plan on they're more expensive. They're only three for $80. I think is what I paid, or $75. So the review on the arrowheads will be coming here shortly, but this right here, option number one for you, get a good bow. Like I said, you don't have to have a 60, but you don't have to have a left hand. You can get a right hand as well, and practice until you get really good, and then boost yourself up to a heavier bow so that way you can get into putting food on the table. But like I said, 35, 45, 40-pound bows, stuff like that, they'll do the same thing. You just got to be really good with it. You got to be pinpoint accurate out to about 40 yards, because the deer are not going to, or whatever's out there, are not going to come to you. Although I had that problem once before, and then I stopped hunting after that. It's been a good long while, because the deer came right up to me, sniffing me and nudging me with his nose, trying to look for food. And I'm like, I can't do this. So, fishing, that works too. Get you a good fishing rig with something like this. Yeah, I mean, you have multiple options within a budget. So, link in the description below. Go check it out, and we'll see you guys later.